Now we put this aside. Now yesterday I talked about mindfulness. I mentioned a number of qualities, like being present, being wholesome, not just only present, but clearly present. The alertness, the type of alertness of being present, that is mindfulness. Being non-judgmental, being acceptance, non-superficial. Those yesterday I covered more or less on the mindfulness. And a yogi also must know the prominency of an object. When the object is prominent, when the object is clear to you, then only the mindfulness comes in. If the object is not clear to you, and you try to hold on to the object, then you will have nothing much of mindfulness to come in. Okay? So this is yesterday. Then from yesterday, we need to continue on in order for us to build up the mind into vipassana. If you have just mindfulness alone, without the next factor, then you cannot turn the mind into vipassana. You will just stay as mindfulness practice only, but not vipassana yet. Vipassana requires a certain specific state of mind. Whereas like mindfulness, every form of right development of the mind, you need mindfulness. Every form of meditation. Just now if you do metta meditation, for example, you need that mindfulness. Because your mind cannot be running into the past or into the future. You got to stay with the words. You just got to stay with the quality of the mind that arises from the metta. Then, if you stay with it, that means you are somewhat present. Mindfulness is there. But for metta to arise, you need the next quality, which is called the non-anger, the cetasika of non-anger, the mental factor of non-anger. As you build up the non-anger strongly, it becomes metta. Alright? It becomes metta. So too, like for example, if you build up on compassion, if you do mindfulness on compassion, you need that mindfulness. Then after that, you build up on the mind of compassion. Yeah? If you want to do the, say, virtues of the Buddha, Itipiso and so on, as a meditation, not as a chanting. If you build on that, this quality, again, you need to hold the words there, the meaning there, and after that, you build up upon confidence, faith, saddha. Then it becomes the right part of the practice. So too with mindfulness, so too with vipassana practice. You need the basic part, which is the mindfulness. But the next one is going to determine whether you are doing vipassana or not. The next factor is the wisdom factor. Panya. It's a mental factor that it can be cultivated, it can be developed, and when it's fully developed, that factor will penetrate into the truth of seeing things as they are. And finally, when seeing things as they really are, then it becomes And then only you realize Nibbana. It's not something that we cannot cultivate. It can be cultivated, but you need the right way to cultivate it. If you get the wrong way to cultivate it, or you get the wrong type of wisdom, then you will be wise, but you will not able to penetrate further. So you need a certain skill to develop a certain kind of wisdom. And this is where vipassana comes in. This wisdom cannot be developed with metta. You cannot be able to develop it with compassion, because they go on another path. They go on another development. So this one, we need to cultivate that degree of wisdom as best as we can. But the wisdom cannot arise us if there is no mindfulness. If the mindfulness is weak, that wisdom also is weak. When it says weak, meaning that they are not continuous. When things are not continuous, then there's not much of a progress. The reason that we come for a retreat now, the reason is we come from a retreat compared that you meditate at home, is because that in the retreat, they give you the continuity. They give you the continuity of the mindfulness, continuity of the concentration, continuity of the wisdom factor. If without that continuity, then it's going to be very difficult for you to practice. That's why we need that continuity of practice again and again in order to develop a certain quality of the mind. So tonight we're going to elaborate. For the next 1 or 2 or 3 nights, we're going to elaborate on this skill, on how we're going to be able to develop it as best as we can, so that the mind can stay continuous. Then after some time, you begin to realize that how the mind able to become more penetrative, become more clearer on your objects of your meditation. Now, this wisdom factor of the mind, sometimes the Buddha used the word sampajanya, clear comprehension. So you sometimes, if you read the text, sati and sampajanya, mindfulness and clear comprehension, or mindfulness and clear awareness. Sometimes they translate it as clear awareness, or they can translate it in some other words for it. So they mean the same thing. Sampajanya. For example, in the 7 factors of enlightenment, the Buddha used the word investigation of Dhamma, Dhamma Vichaya. That also is wisdom. They are the same. They are different words, but the same meaning, the same mental states. Sometimes they use the word light. It also means panya. Sometimes the Buddha used the word non-delusion, also panya. Amoha. Yesterday we talked a little bit on delusion. Today, the wisdom here is the complete opposite of moha or delusion. It's just like darkness and light. They cannot come together. You have wisdom, you cannot have the delusion is aside. So it all depends. It's just like a torchlight, How strong is a torchlight when you are in a very dark area? If your torchlight is like your battery is almost dead, then you turn it on, you can see a little bit here and there only. But other than that, you can't see because the darkness is around you. But if you have a very strong, bright light, then every corner is being able to be noted, seen. You can able to figure what things is there. So too, wisdom is like that. Wisdom, if you start to develop this vipassana meditation, if you begin to develop this vipassana meditation, then that wisdom is like, I thought be told, no one want to become bright, but it all disappear again. Come again, disappear again. This is not strong yet. But for a seasoned yogi, it's different. You sit down there, the whole hour, the mind can be able to be very alert and very clear. And not only clear, you can clear for 1 sitting, 2 sittings, 3 sittings, 4 sittings, 5 sittings, 6 sittings, 7 sittings. The next morning, you'll be able to be clear all over again. So they use the word sampajanya, wisdom, investigation of Dhamma, light, and so on, for the same quality of the mind. As I said earlier on, if without mindfulness, this wisdom cannot arise. The wisdom cannot stand on its own. It needs mindfulness. That's why we need to know how to cultivate the mindfulness. And therefore, when we cultivate the mindfulness, then if you correct it, build it rightly, it goes into development of the factor of wisdom. To give you a rough idea of what is this wisdom is, you take 2 yogis. One yogi, when he comes to meditation, every time he comes into a retreat, kia ki, kia lo, kia ki, kia lo, kia ki, kia lo, kia ki, kia lo. Walk up, walk down, walk up, walk down, walk up, and walk down. Then you ask the yogi, hey, what do you notice when you're walking? Just right, left, right, left. Feel good or not? Yeah, feel good. Calm or not? Calm. Pleasant or not? Pleasant. Wonderful or not? Wonderful. So much. Your mind is not running away. Your mind is not going away anywhere. You just walk, right step, left step, right step. Or just be present with the walking. Kia ki, kia lo. If you're able to do in this way, it's still wholesome state of mind. It's still very wholesome state of mind. It's better than when you're out there, when you have no mindfulness at all. Sometimes you don't even know where you're walking also. Sometimes, a lot of times, although we thought that we are aware of our walking, but our mind is always on the forward. What is where we're going to do next? So we are not really mindful. So this type of yogi is the first type of yogi. Kia ki kia lo yogi, Just all you do is sitting meditation. Rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising. Có mi kia khoao, bổ lẹo. Chế ca chỉ tiêm trên cô mi kia bổ lẹo. Rising, falling the whole hour. Hey, if you can able to get the rising, falling, it's still very good. Not to say it's bad. But you haven't turned that meditation into vipassana yet. You are mindful, yes. Your mind is not running away, yes. You are pleasant, yes. But you have not turned into vipassana yet. Now the second type of yogi, when he comes into vipassana, is not just only in the present moment, but he can able to notice things more thoroughly. Northern American, more thorough. British, thorough. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that the yogi here, he can able to penetrate, he can able to notice things much more clearer, much more sharper than the first yogi. Meaning that when he walk, when he do the walking meditation, when you're able to do the walking meditation, you ask the yogi, what did you notice in the walking? In the walking, I notice this hardness, softness. As I touch now, I feel the toes here, toes there, at the heels here, the tightness. Then it touched down. I feel it. Yeah. Then after the next step, I feel that perhaps the movement of the leg, it was moving a little bit. It was very light, and then it was sometimes heavy. Sometimes you can able to notice. Then I can feel the warmness as I touch down the ground, and then it begins to from warm, it begins to turn into cold, or cold into warm, or tight into heavy, and so on. You begin to notice a different quality of a walking. That is where you begin to go into the path of vipassana. Just by two yogis externally doing the same thing, internally the mind is different. Because of that difference, then one yogi stays as just a mindfulness yogi, the other one as a vipassana yogi. This important factor, if you cannot differentiate these two, then most of the time yogi will just stay as mindfulness only. Because why? Because you stay in the mindfulness only, there's not much pain. There's not much other tension here, tightness there. Not much. You just stay there, very nice, very calm. Then you can stay there for the next 20 years, stay there. Then after that, ask you any progress? Boa. Tao khít tôi làm mà sẽ aircon nha. All this, we have heard all these things before. You go to a retreat, you come back, retreat, still same. So, here, once you're able to differentiate these things, at least theoretically, then it will begin to determine how you're going to practice your meditation. So, this is what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to a basic example of how to bring up that quality of wisdom. That means you need to be penetrative, you need to be clear, you need to be precise in your noting, in your sitting, in your daily activities also. That means when you're eating, you want to know what is happening to the biting, chewing, whether it's hard or not, whether it's soft or not, whether does it become hard and it turns into soft, whether the sensation was there in the first place, it was pleasant, then as you swallow it down, the pleasantness also disappears. If you can able to notice this, then you begin to go into the aspect of vipassana. If you are just chewing, but you do not know the extra quality of it, then you are just being a mindful only. Not to say you are bad, but not enough. You're still a good yogi, but not enough. I've seen this yogi. The reason I speak about this, because many times I've seen yogis do in this way. And many times, because they do it in this way, over the years, they can't progress. They can't go further than this calmness and pleasantness and so on. Now, in order for us to develop this quality of wisdom, then there are a number of things that also we have to know. When it comes to the Dhamma, Not the Dhamma talk, I mean the Dhamma as a whole, you know. You come here, sometimes you listen to a talk, for example, like right now. Sometimes you go back and then you read about your suttas, read about the Dhamma books and so on. Yeah? And you think about it. When you think about it, you reflect about it. Those are the things that it will help you to gain certain degree of wisdom. Not that you don't have. But that type of wisdom that you have, those type of wisdom, it will not able to bring you into vipassana yet. Although it's a condition, but it's not going to develop you into realization of nibbana. It cannot get you out of the cycle of birth and rebirth. So as a practitioner, or you aspire to practice in future perhaps, you know, then our mind, our wisdom level works differently. There are 3 levels of wisdom. There are 3 levels of wisdom. First level of wisdom is that the wisdom that arises from what you read and what you read or what you hear. Of course, nowadays is what you both lie, you know, but during the Buddha's time is only what you hear. They hear and they have to remember it. How to remember it? They repeat it in the mind, just like they do a lot of chanting. We do this chanting because that if you keep on chanting and repeatedly, those words begin to lodge into the mind. Those days, you cannot just take up your tablet, you just take up a book and just refer to this paragraph or that paragraph. Those days, everything has to be memorized. In order to memorize, you got to repeat it again and again. So, when the first type of wisdom is that the quality of this wisdom has to be also the theory that you understand, the theory that you hear, it has to be parallel to the ultimate truth. It has to be parallel to the ultimate truth. Meaning that in reality, there is called cause and effect, karma and vipaka. So, you begin to learn about karma and vipaka, cause and effect. You begin to learn about it. So if you hear those things, then this karma and vipaka, they are ultimate. And those things are also, they are timeless, akkalika. That's what you are chanting, you know, akkaliko. When you chant this word akkaliko, timeless, meaning that the effect of this karma, whether you are in the past, present or future, it will affect you. Things like Four Noble Truths, it also is timeless. Things like your 5 precepts, which is also part of karma in its effect, also is timeless. You learn about dependent origination. These are also timeless. You learn about the quality of the mind. They are also timeless. Because whether in the past life, this life, or next life, you're going to have those things. So those words that you listen to, those words you understand, all these words, when the Buddha mentioned about it, you listen about it, this is the first level of wisdom. But sometimes we mix up the wisdom with the worldly knowledge. The worldly knowledge is not wisdom. Because the worldly knowledge, it gives you certain fundamentals, something helpful for your everyday life. If you read about science, for example, if you read about chemistry, if you read about physics and so on, those things change over time. Isn't it? One theory, after that, a better research coming in, it changed another theory. After that, another research coming, it changed that theory, and it changed here again, changed there again. So, worldly knowledge, they are not wisdom. They are good for everyday life, but they are not timeless. They may be applicable maybe for the next 20, 30 years, for right now, or for in this life. Even if you know it as much as you can, it's not going to be a much of a condition for you for this ending of cycle of birth and rebirth. But you know the certain degree of Dhamma, then it becomes a good condition for the future. Although it's a condition, but you haven't done anything much about it yet. So you got to know that the second type of wisdom. The second type of wisdom is the wisdom that arises from reflecting over it. You think about it. When the Buddha says about impermanence, for example, you listen about impermanence, then you think about impermanence. Yeah, this one always changing one. This person changing one, impermanent one. And then you talk about, then you reflect about dukkha, for example. Oh, I'm getting older already right now. Có mấy practice bo tiam sia liao. Then you reflect in this way. Yes. Then what you listen, you think about it. Then okay. Then it again here it follows the truth here. The actual truth. You think about it. This is what you do a lot of times. You can sit down, you can talk about it, you can debate, you can discuss over it. So those things that you are used to it, you are very much used to it. So this first two type of wisdom. But the second type of wisdom also, sometimes people read, but they can come to a conclusion, they come to the opinion, and they can be out of the Dhamma also. Because nowadays there are many scholars. After reading the Buddha's words, after that they can interpret the Buddha's meaning that there must be a self, atta. There must be a self. There must be a soul. How could that not be? So there are people after reading also, but when it comes into thinking, they can go astray. Of course, in the first place, if you listen to the wrong things, wrong teaching, also, of course, the thoughts can go astray from the truth. So the first level, second level of wisdom, this is mostly is what we do. The third level of wisdom is the wisdom that comes from mental development. It's not by thinking anymore. It's by experiencing it directly. You got to feel it directly, not judging it, not putting an opinion into it, not putting a commentary into it. That means you learn to feel it directly. There are two aspects of wisdom here. First aspect, it comes from the samatha development. The second aspect comes from vipassana development. From a samatha development, you want to develop, let's say, metta. You cannot talk about it only, isn't it? You got to learn to feel it. You got to learn to develop it from the mind. Then, something that you can able to experience. You want to develop the 32 parts of the body. You cannot just talk about it, but you learn how to do it. You do it, you feel the quality of the mind that arises together with it. You, for example, if you develop into jhana, you cannot just talk about jhana, but you've got to learn to see the jhana in a different aspect, different level of jhana. And those things can be experienced firsthand. So, in that aspect also, samatha also got its own level of wisdom. That if you just think about it, you won't able to reach to that level. So it has to be experienced. Just like, for example, if you eat an apple, and the person haven't eaten an apple in his life, no matter how you describe to him, he will not able to understand. Although he may write 1,000 words about the taste of an apple. So something like that. Now, when it comes to vipassana also got its own level of wisdom. Because vipassana goes into the level of the qualities of the mind and body. You want to know the specific qualities of the mind and body, so therefore you got to bring the mind close to it, pay attention to it, therefore you can see the actual quality of the quality of the phenomena, whether it's mind or whether it's the body. For example, that just now as I mentioned, the mind that pays attention to the hardness, softness, warmness, coldness, as how it change, for example. Then here you are bringing the mind towards to noticing the quality of the phenomena firsthand. To notice the quality of the phenomena firsthand. Not I talk about it, not somebody else talk about it. You experience it firsthand. So, therefore, when it comes into Vipassana meditation, we ask you to give up on your books. We ask you to give up on your mobile phones. One of the reasons is not just the restless mind, but even the Dhamma books also. We ask you to give it up also. Don't go and touch all the books in the library or in the shelf over here, the free distribution, because you have to give this time to develop the third kind of wisdom. If not, you'll be always going back to the second kind of wisdom. Think about it. Because if you could, feel nice. The third one is difficult to develop. That's why you need a retreat. When you come to a retreat, all those things you give up in order for that quality of wisdom to arise. In the wisdom, in this clear comprehension, in this sampajanya, the commentaries over the 2,500 years, we've seen every type of yogis, every kind of yogi. You're not something special. All these types of yogis and so on, more or less, is being recorded also. And they take out all this of the yogis' experience, whether they are monks or nuns or layperson. Yeah? They take out what are the qualities that it needs to develop for the wisdom to arise. This is not something I've mentioned, but something that I follow it again and again. Because if I follow it, I know there are certain of the quality of the mind is going to develop. Because due to experience. If you are not experienced here, if you are new over here, therefore, my advice to you, I strongly advise to you, is to follow what I'm going to say next. Because the next thing is the strategy to bring about that wisdom. And you're going to have a different ways of how this wisdom to arise. Now you see, clear comprehension, sampajanya, panya, wisdom, and so on. Those things needs to be exercised. And you must know how exactly where to exercise it in order for that particular wisdom to arise. Over the next course, we're going to go through what are the things that we're going to do with it. The first thing that we're going to develop is learning about the intentions. Cetana. Learning about the intentions. In the beginning of the retreat, we talk about the intention, especially when you are starting your walking. You start your walking, you note your intention to walk, then only you start walking. Intention to walk, intention to walk, intention to walk. then only you start walking. Right step, left step, right step, left step, and so on. Yesterday we talked about it. Yesterday. Although this is those are basic instruction, but over the years also of teaching also, yogis also tend to neglect this area. Because if you neglect this small little thing here, then the wisdom factor, you'll be missing out one area of the wisdom factor. Although in the beginning part, as you're a beginner to meditate, sometimes noticing this intention, it's like mentally you just go through on it. It's like, notice, for example, you want to start walking, you're not intention to walk, intention to walk, intention to walk. What else is there? What do you feel is there? Nothing. Nothing. In the beginning part, you don't feel anything at all. So much so, in one retreat in the past, then when I was giving this talk, then suddenly a yogi put up the hand. Bante, why so 麻烦 one are you? Why want to note all the intention for what? I walk lah. Want to stop lah. Want to sit lah. Why so much intention here and there? There are yogis like that, because just like y'all, when you're at home, when you're out there, you want to walk, you just walk. You want to sit, you just sit. You want to do anything else, you just do anything else as you like. But behind that your action is the state of mind as detecting the whole thing. But we can't see how the mind works. We can't see how the nature of the mind works in determining of what actions that you're going to do. Yeah lah, long intention because long thak ane che ma. But can you really see it? Can you really feel it? Can you really notice it clearly? You cannot notice it clearly because the mind is not developed. Theoretically, yes. Exactly, penetratively, no. That's why, because of this no, you stay on in the cycle of birth and rebirth. If you can, then you're going to bring you further into the insight. So, therefore, we need to understand this nature of this intention further. Now, intention, when you come to the Dhamma class, now, I'm sure over here when you have classes of Dhamma, when you talk about your precept, for example, and you talk about precept, intention important. Yes, you know that level important, yeah. Because long kiasi, you know. Every time you kill something, what intention ma? Why? Because you're afraid of the karma coming back to you. You say, no intention here, no intention there. Yes, you learn about all the intention. Good, not to say it's bad, But you got to go a little bit more further than that. You go about your Sunday school, your classes, you learn about all the intention is well and good. Not to say it's bad. You learn about the 5 precepts and then all the intention is there, how the intention is worked. Sometimes you sit down, you talk to some other monks, you talk to some other devotees, you talk about all those intentions, those cetana. Or the wish to do something. Those are good things, not to say it's bad things. It's helpful to you. At least next time, whether you break a precept, you don't break a precept, you don't feel so guilty about it. Sometimes they come, Bante, oh, you want lap your ants, anjong, I step on the ants, karma. How are you going to see your karma? How are you going to see your future? You've got, sometimes people have certain degree of fear. We understand that. Sometimes we give them some, to console them a little bit. But here as a yogi, it's on a different level. On the yogi, you got to see the intention yourself. Exactly feel the intention yourself. You cannot wait for somebody to tell you. You cannot wait just reading the books. But you got to learn to feel it. In order to learn to feel it, this is where the vipassana comes in. Because in other meditation, you are not asked to notice this intention. So, every time you want to do something while you are here, or as best as possible, try to notice the intention first before you do something. For example, you want to do the walking meditation. Notice the intention first, then only you start a right step, left step, right step, left step. Or you notice the intention, you start off with the lifting, pushing, dropping. And notice the intention, and you repeat it. You repeat and you repeat and you repeat day in, day out. So this is one area that you have to take note. Sometimes, as I said, sometimes before you stop, sometimes you can notice the mind. There's a wish that you want to stop in the next few steps, and that wish sometimes it comes as a thinking. Then that thinking is part of the whole process of intention. You want to do something, you want to stop something. Yes, it's part of the intention. In the beginning part is just memory. It's just words. It's just a mental label only. But you got to repeat that. You got to repeat it again and again, because as the mindfulness go stronger and stronger, you begin to see how the intention will develop or become clear to you. Now, not just only in your walking, but also in your daily activities. In your daily activities, you try to bring in the intention also. Say, for example, you want to go to the dining hall. You want to go for lunch. You want to go for breakfast. Clearly aware that you are going to go to the lunch. You're clearly aware that you're going to go to the this one. That is also part of intention. If you want to go to the toilet, you're aware that I want to go to the toilet. The reason we do this because we want to make the mind alert and clear. If you don't do this, you'll be just like at home. You want to go toilet, you go toilet. You want to go lunch, you go lunch. So you'll be like at home. So if you do in that way, that means that the delusion will just cover you up. So you got to make an effort. You want to go up the staircase? You intend to go up the staircase. You want to open the door to your room? Intention to open the door to the room. Then if you want to get up from the sitting from the cushion, after you finish the meditation, you want to get up. Intention to get up before you lift your body up. If you want to sit down, before you do that, you intention to notice the sitting down. Repeatedly, again and again, you do it. You will forget in many areas. But if you forget, is what is important that you bring it back again. Notice the intention. What is going to be helpful in the beginning part for a yogi is that although you can't notice the intention clearly, but what is going to be helpful for the yogi is the follow-up. The next follow-up. The follow-up here is that if you notice the intention in the beginning, the next thing you will able to follow up that. The next, say for example, you want to get up from the sitting. If you notice the intention, the next follow-up of how you get up, the pressure that arises, the heaviness that you can able to notice, you can able to feel, then it follows through to the getting up. Then that means you begin to make the mindfulness a little bit more continuous. You begin to stretch the mindfulness. Not just only aware of something, but you begin to aware of more things happening at least at this short period before you forget about something else. So you have to do this again and again, because this, as you do it, this period of time, you'll be start lengthening. As it gets lengthening, that is where your mindfulness starts to become more and more continuous. You understand? So far. You have to do it because in Vipassana, everything comes into the detailed part of it. Not the grandiose of everything. It's the small little parts that you have to do. It's where the effort comes in. If you make an intention here, then next time you try and see, you want to open and you want to go into your room, intention to open. Then you begin to feel the handle, whether it's warm, whether it's cold, and so on. Then you feel that the continuity of mindfulness starts coming in. If you do it repeatedly over the days, you begin to find that it's quite interesting. You find that your mindfulness, your alertness become more. Sleepiness become less. Thinking become less. Your mind doesn't run here and there. These are all these small little things that we need to do. So you tried it. If you haven't been trying it before, do try it. It makes a bit of effort there. You will forget, but it's all right. Repeat it again. If you forget, repeat it again. Forget, repeat it again. Sometimes, once in a while, some yogis, they won't tell you all the bad things. You come in front of a teacher, they'll all tell you everything nice. One day I don't forget, I do this very nicely, everything. But we know behind you, you also forget a lot of things. Sometimes they want to paint a very nice picture during the interview, as if like, I'm so naive, so gong. If you forget, don't worry. You be honest, be sincere, So say, okay, I forgot about that. I forgot about it. It's perfectly all right. I'm not going to eat you. Maybe scold you a bit here and there, okay, but not more than that. So don't worry, So don't worry. Sometimes in other places, there are teachers. Sometimes if you speak the wrong things, as if like they have a knife beside them already, They begin to while you're talking, as if mentally they really sharpen their knife, Anyway, but I'm not going to hear. All you need to do is you forget. It's okay to be sincere that you forget. This is part of the whole Vipassana process. It's not about being perfect. It's about your imperfection, that you know that area also I forget about that mindfulness. Because in the fourth Satipatthana, in the fourth, the Dhammanupassana, one of the Dhammanupassana, the Buddha taught, if you do not have mindfulness, you know that you do not have mindfulness. If you have mindfulness, you know that you have mindfulness. If you do not have concentration, you know that you do not have concentration. If you have concentration, you know you have concentration. This is what the Buddha taught in the fourth Satipatthana. So we don't have to be too perfect. We don't have to be too perfect. But what I want y'all to do is to try, is to make the effort. If you don't make the effort, then nobody could able to help you. We give you as much as we could. We teach you how to do it. So it's up to you to go and take note of the intention. So these are the intention. In other words, another way to look at it of this intention is to look into our major postures. What are the major postures that we have? The Buddha taught. What are the posture? You have a walking posture, then you have a sitting, then you have a standing posture, then a lying down posture. So you have 4 major posture. Now in these 4 major postures, whenever you want to change from one posture to another posture, say for example when you are standing, you want to go into walking, you take note of the intention. You from a standing, you want to go into sitting, take note of that intention. You want to do something here, you want to get up, drinking, whatever, go into drinking, you want to walk there, change, you want to lie down on your bed, you want to get up from your bed, those things, you try to note the intention as much as possible. As much as possible. Okay? Now there's another level of intention. It's called, usually are called the minor intentions. The minor intention means that within a single posture, there are also a lot of other movements also. Take for example, I'm sitting down here. I want to reach out for the cup. My hands are moving. These are minor movements within a posture. So any movement that's taking place, there will be a intention. There will be a lot of intention also involved into this process of taking a cup. So in this minor intention, you also have to try, but you've got to be careful. Try, but be careful. Try in the sense that whenever you're sitting down, you want to drink something, you want to reach out to your tumbler, you want to reach out to your bottle, take note of that hands, shifting it out, holding it, bring it back to you. While you are doing it, take note of some of the intention. Sometimes you want to bend a hand, sometimes you want to stretch a hand, sometimes you feel the touch. Then you take notice here and there. You want to open, say for example, you want to open your door. Once in a while, not every time, once in a while, you notice their intention to reach out, to hold, to pull it. And then after that, an intention to push, for example. An intention to walk forward, for example. To go inside or to come outside. So, some of this minor intention, you take note of it. But you don't do it all the time. If you do it all the time, it will become very, very stressful. Take, for example, your walking meditation. Some parts, some areas, some teachers, they like to ask the yogi to do every lifting, you notice an intention. Every pushing, you notice an intention. Every dropping, you notice an intention. Although theoretically, they are correct, Not that theoretically they are wrong. But practically, you cannot develop yet, especially for a new yogi. If you can do this way, every small little intention, you try to notice it, you're going to get tension. Headache. And this headache, you go back instead of mindfulness, clarity, you go back with a migraine. And there are people who go back with that now. And I've seen yogis who do this way, every movement, because once they start off with this intention thing, they're not going to go right step, left step anymore. Kaliao, everything is a very tiny little movement. So whole day through, they do it in this way. Bengkak your head. So you don't fall into that trap, although theoretically it's true. So major intention, minor intention. Major intention, you do as much as you can. When you change your posture, you do as much as you can because you're not doing it all the time. Minor intention, you got to be careful. Do it some of the time. Some of the time, if you cannot, doesn't matter. So, while we understand this intention, as you develop this intention, beginner part, as I said, this intention feels a bit more dry. But as an experienced yogi, as you go into further, as your mindfulness becomes stronger, you can actually feel the consciousness arises. You can actually feel the desire of the mind arises before even you stretch out your hand, even before you want to walk. Sometimes some yogis, they come in, they report, if there's no intention, you just stand there for the walking time. You just stand there. Then notice the intention, then only the right leg or the left leg will go forward. So this time, they begin to experience the quality of the mind. They begin to feel the quality of the mind. They begin to penetrate into this quality of the mind. They begin to see things as they are. Because right now, they experience things of cause and what? Effect. Directly right now. Not something that you read from the books right now. Something that you can able to feel it. That you once you're able to experience it again and again, then next time, if there's no intention, you will just stand there. If there's no intention, you will not turn. If there's no intention, again you will stand there. If there's no intention, the hands will not go and reach out to the cup. It will just stay like that until an intention arises, then only the hands stretch it out. This is not something you purposely want to do. It's something that you can actually see it for yourself. And many yogis, if they try hard enough, they go through all these type of things in many different ways. While they are walking, they want to look at the clock. Without the intention, the head cannot turn. So now, every time you walk, what time already? What time already? There's nothing much for you to see. But next time, when the certain development of the mind comes in, you're not even able to turn the head. So, you take note of those things, because if you begin to see these things, you begin to see the cause and effect of it. You begin to see the cause and effect of things as they are. When the Buddha says karma, you begin to experience how karma works firsthand, not just somebody talk about it. This is how powerful the vipassana can go, if only you try. Now, with this understanding also, you're able to see this thing, then also the aspect of non-self, anatta. The aspect of anatta is you also begin to experience anatta firsthand. Not that you read about anicca, dukkha, anatta, kong lai kong ki, mesti kong wa nia. But right now is something that you can actually able to understand it, that you can able to feel it, that all these things that you do is without the I. At least for a short period, and after that, the I will all come back again. But as a window, a small little window for you to begin to experience the non-self. So, with this, you try to exercise some degree of this wisdom, and a small portion, a quarter of what is wisdom only. This is one quarter, one area only, because there are 3 more areas that we can able to develop it further. So on the coming days, also we'll talk about it. So until tonight, we speak about this, the nature of the intention, how we develop it, and hopefully that the yogis will try and see it for yourself. Okay, we stop here for tonight.